Not a whole lot
is said about. Whoa. I think my talking machine just experienced some form of horrible software puberty. Anyway. Not a whole lot is said about Queen Chrysalis in the show. I don't even think we learn her name until it's shown in the credits. However, there are still a few things the show betrays about her.
Where am I? The caves beneath Canterlot, once home to greedy unicorns who wanted to claim the gems that could be found inside. And now, your prison. Help! Help! It's no use. No one can hear you, and no one will ever think to look for you either. Most ponies have forgotten that these caves even exist, which is why they are the ideal place to keep the ones who try to interfere with my plans.
What we learn from this is that she's old. Very old. Old enough to know about something that is not even in the history books. Such knowledge would have had to come to her firsthand. But perhaps just as important as that is noting the similarity in wording in the following clip, which occurred just one episode later.
Anything in any of my books?
There wouldn't be. Few remember it ever existed at all. Even my knowledge of the Empire is limited.
So how long ago did something have to occur to say most ponies have forgotten that these caves even exist? Perhaps about as long ago as it would take to say few remember the Crystal Empire ever existed at all. If we chose to use that reasoning, we would place Queen Chrysalis about 1,000 years ago. However, we might also reason that Chrysalis knew about the Crystal Caves while Celestia did not. Since Celestia had not taken measures against its abuse, like a protection spell. If this is so, then Chrysalis is actually older than Celestia. Or she is more familiar with the Canterlot region than Celestia. Or both. We may have another hint to this that we saw back in a previous clip.
We might not have given Big Mac and Miss Shirley a love potion. We may have given them a love poison. What? Apparently, some prince a long time ago whipped up this recipe and gave it to this princess he liked. He meant it to be a love potion.
Yes, I am saying the princess in the historical event that spawned the Hearts and Hooves Day celebration was Queen Chrysalis.
Dun, dun, dun.
However, I'm not going to base the theory solely on this clip. Let's see another.
I'm all for romance, but this has been going on for hours. What's happened to these two? Well, these lovebirds will probably be planning a wedding soon. We can always use the catering business.
Gosh, you two are so in love. The next thing you know, you'll be getting married.
Married?
That's right. Married.
Married.
If we're going off the theory that Chrysalis was the princess under the effect of the love poison in the story, that means that back when it happened she would have shown the same behavior we saw here. However, the difference between these two scenarios is that the first time this love poison was used, the cure was not known. Big Macintosh and Shirley were just about to rush off and get married when the spell was finally broken. If the cure was not known the first time, then likely the two under its effect followed through with similar plans. This would mean that Queen Chrysalis must have had a king. The only other time we hear the mention of titles of higher royalty such as king or queen is for King Sombra. Now, before you go and flood the internet with Sombra and Chrysalis shipping images and fanfics, remember that they were both under the effect of the love poison. This was not true love, and they probably both behaved in ways they never would have normally. On top of that, we have no idea what the long-term effects of a love poison might be. We all have a general idea of what a love potion does. It's a potion that kinda causes fake love. The term poison in its name would imply that it is damaging something.
1,000 years ago, King Sombra, a unicorn whose heart was black as night, took over the Crystal Empire.
Perhaps the long-term effects of a love poison are that it turns your heart black as night. But there is a notable difference between Sombra and Chrysalis. Could we somehow attribute these differences to something? I think so. Remember that at this time Chrysalis would not have been your average unicorn like Sombra, or even an average alicorn. She would have been the Crystal Princess. and likely would have shared certain physical properties with the crystal ponies.
If the Empire is filled with hope and love, those things are reflected across all of Equestria. If hatred and fear take hold,
Cadence has been able to use her magic to spread love and light. That seems to be what is protecting it.
These crystal ponies seem to have some kind of collective amnesia or something.
The fair was held every year to renew the spirit of love and unity in the Empire so they could protect it from harm.
The whole purpose of the Crystal Fair is to lift the spirits of the crystal ponies so the light within them can power the crystal heart so that the Empire can be protected. I do work at the library.
From these clips we can tell there is something distinctly different about the crystal ponies. For one, their physical appearance seems to be reflective of the state of their hearts. When they first come back they are all in a lost, low-energy state due to their deprivation of positive energy. It is almost like they are sustained by love. They also have a society that somewhat resembles a colony of social insects, ants, bees, etc. Seen in how they collectively work to power the crystal heart, can suffer a collective amnesia. And, of course, are united under a queen. It sounds very familiar.
She's a changeling. She takes the form of some pony you love and gains power by feeding off your love for them.
Right you are, princess. And as queen of the changelings, it is up to me to find food for my subjects. Equestria has more love than any place I've ever encountered. My fellow changelings will be able to devour so much of it that we will gain more power than we have ever dreamed of. Ever since I took your place, I've been feeding off Shining Armor's love for you. He may not be my husband, but he is under my total control now. And I'm sorry to say, unable to perform his duties as captain of the Royal Guard.
The differences between a crystal pony and a normal pony are remarkably similar to the differences between a changeling and a normal pony. Perhaps the effects of a love poison on a crystal pony have the effect of killing their capacity for love, causing them to be hollow husks that instead of reflecting and generating love, will absorb and feed off of it. While the crystal ponies' appearances reflect the light of love within their hearts, the changelings' appearances reflect the emptiness of their hearts. Let's look at Cadence's description of them again.
She's a changeling. She takes the form of some pony you love and gains power by feeding off your love for them.
So in a sense, the changeling would reflect the light of some pony else's love, and not their own. This actually creates another tie into the Hearts and Hooves Day clip.
Okay, apparently it was all because the prince and princess were so lost in each other's eyes that they couldn't perform their royal duties.
He may not be my husband, but he is under my total control now. And I'm sorry to say, unable to perform his duties as captain of the Royal Guard.
So even though Chrysalis may not have the capacity to lose herself in some ponies' eyes, she can still elicit that effect in others. So the next question that comes up is, what the clop happened 1,000 years ago to shake the foundations of Equestria?